Let's demonstrate the ASCE 7 load helper in VisualAnalysis. This load helper is available for dead loads and live loads, and in the future for wind loads and seismic loads and snow loads. If we look at a dead load service case, and let's suppose we want to apply a nodal load. If I select the node, apply nodal load, you'll see in the dialog, we have an option under ASCE 7 load to select something, which it's currently none. If I drop that box down, we'll see we currently have an option for an ASCE 7 load. Let's create that ASCE 7 load by selecting that, and when we do, this dialog box comes up. The dialog has two options, dead loads and live loads. We're currently looking at dead loads, so let's stay with that. And under dead loads, we have all the ASCE 7 appendix categories for dead loads, like ceilings, floor, walls, masonry walls. Let's suppose that we're dealing with a ceiling type dead load, and under that we have the options of acoustical fiberboard, gypsum, and so on. Let's suppose we want to create a dead load for a ceiling that includes gypboard per 1/8 inch thickness. Let's say it's 1/2 inch gypboard, so it'll be a 4 per 4/8, and we'll add that material. And let's say as well we have mechanical duct allowance. We'll add that as well, which is 4 PSF. Currently we have two loads for a total of 6.2 PSF. If we had additional weights for our load, we could add them as well. Let's go ahead and keep that and give it a load name of ceiling, or my ceiling, and say add replace load. And when we do that, we see it shows up in the list over here on the right. I'm going to say OK for now. That's all I want. And when I go back to VA, we see that my ceiling has been selected at 6.2 pounds per square foot. Now then, because it's a nodal load, and this is in pounds per square foot, we need to have a tributary area. Let's suppose that we're applying a load to a column here, and this column is supporting a tributary width of 20 feet and maybe a tributary height or length of 10 feet. And with those two selected, we'll have a total of 200 square feet times 6.2. You can see it's telling us it's 1,240 pounds, and I'll say OK. So that's a way to create a point load using the ASCE 7 load helper. Note that if I go to another node and say apply nodal load, that option is now available as a type of load you can have. It can either be none and you can enter the load manually, or you can select my ceiling or create a new ASCE 7 load. So these loads will stay in your own local database for applied loads for future use, including they'll be available at this project. Let's look at a member load and see how that works. Say I want to apply a member load dead load here, and when I do that, I get an add member load dialog, and notice ASCE 7 is set to none. We currently have my ceiling. Let's just create another one at this point that we can add. And let's say that in this case, I'm looking not at ceilings, but rather at a wood floor. And my options for wood floor are 2x6s, 2x12s. Let's go and add a 2x12 at 12-inch spacing. We'll add that. Let's add a couple more things for floor fill. Let's go ahead and add, suppose we have lightweight concrete. Maybe not very realistic, but per inch thickness. Let's say we have a 4-inch thick section, and we'll add this material. Now I've got a total up to 40 pounds per square foot. I'm just going to add this one and call it my floor, and add and replace. And notice our list over here has my ceiling from before and now my floor. I'll say OK. And now my floor is selected, and because it's a beam, I only need a tributary width. Let's suppose this beam has a tributary width of 15 feet. At 40 pounds per square foot, my total load is going to be 600 pounds per square foot, or 600 pounds per foot. And I'll say OK. The final thing we'll look at is an area load. If we apply an area load, by default, it's being applied as a uniform load We have an option under the magnitude, however, to use an ASCE 7 load. And notice how my ceiling and my floor are both there. Let's suppose this one gets my ceiling, and there's nothing more to enter here because it's an area load which needs pounds per square foot, and we have it already in pounds per square foot. One final comment I'll make is notice how these loads are up. Well, if it's a dead load, it's probably not up, so I'm going to reverse the sign on the load to be down and fix that. We should also go back for this column load, which is up, select it, and reverse its sign so it'll be down. The same for this beam load, and lastly, the same for that column load. So that's how we can use the ASCE 7 load helper for dead loads. Let's look at live loads for a moment. So if I select live loads, and let's pick a member and apply a member load. When we do that, we have a similar dialog box for ASCE 7. However, we really want to create an ASCE 7 type live load. So I'm going to select Create ASCE 7 Live. And I'm going to select Live Loads tab now, not the dead loads. And let's suppose that this structure has a computer floor. And we'll select that. By default, the ASCE 7 value is 100 pounds per square foot. We'll add that, and we currently have that now in our list that's currently defined. We'll say OK. And now when I go to my dialog in VA, notice the access floor is available as a load. Let's leave our tributary area as it was before at 15 feet. And now I have my live load. Again, it's up. I'm going to reverse the sign over here in the inspector properties, and now I have it down. So live loads are also available. If I pick, say, a column, apply load, a nodal load, notice that we have the option for my access floor live load as well. And of course, again, we'd have to specify tributary width and height. I'll reverse it here so it's down. So now we've applied an ASCE 7 load for us. So that's a way to set up standard ASCE 7 dead and live loads that you can use in your project.